I borrowed some money from my brother to get a down payment for my house. What I didn't know at the time was my brother is a con man, and now he's using the fact that he let me borrow money to help him do something that I do not want to do. As the title says, I'm in my early 30s. My brother, let's just call him Frank, is 6 years older than me. Yeah, a 6-year age gap, but believe it or not, I was the one who was planning. Frank has always been a grifter. When we were younger, I never would have called it like that, like everyone else. I had said he was a smooth talker, a savvy businessman, or a money guy, etc., and he is. But he's also a con artist. I mean, come on. But I didn't really know this until I was growing up. I really believed that Frank was going to be the next Warren Buffett, or, well, anyone really. I thought he'd be managing a hedge fund on Wall Street before he was 30. It took a girl, I was dating at the time, to tell me that Frank was a con artist. She didn't really say it like that, but she drew my attention to some of his patterns, like how he'd find a way to get people to pay for things, dinners and stuff, or how he was always leasing new vehicles. I just thought he was a big shot. She showed me, though, that it was sort of intentional. Frank still had a lot of money, or it seemed. My wife, let's just call her Lisa, got pregnant when she was 20 and I was 21. We were living in a really crappy apartment on the south side. I'd always wanted a house with a drive and a lawn and a pool, the whole 9 yards. When Lisa found out that she was having a baby, I wanted the house even more. The problem was I was dead broke. I'd just been graduating from electrician course at the community college and, the jobs only started to come in now. I was making journeyman wages, so it wasn't anything, but it was too little to get much financing from the bank. And Lisa, well, she's still in college. We didn't have savings. It was hand-to-mouth situation, and basically we were happy but did not have 2 dimes to rub together. Frank was the only person I was close to who had that kind of money. Our parents were dead. Lisa's folks were around, but they were pretty broke too, and I asked Frank and he said yes right away. He was already excited about the baby and excited for Lisa and me. We worked out the terms, which obviously were favorable, and he wrote me a check. We found a house right outside the city, not a new building, but a great lot. We'd fix it up, and I could do the electrical work, and I already knew something about plumbing and drywall. We put in an offer, and it was accepted. The loan was enough for a down payment and then some, and I worked out a financial option with my bank for the rest of the mortgage, and we were set. Lisa gave birth to our son a few months later and to our daughter a few years after that. If you're okay at math, you'll figure it out that our boy is 10 and our girl is 7. They're amazing kids, by the way, and I'd do anything for them, but I guess every father says that. Although, on reflection, mine never did. Anyways, it was all pretty perfect up until that point, and I've managed to fix up the house over the years. We put an extension landscape to the backyard and updated the new kitchen and even redid the basement. It hardly looks like the same house anymore. I've had steady, well-paid work over the years, and everybody needs an electrician. I can't complain there. Plenty of money around for the tradesman of an electrician, and it only took me 3 years to pay Frank back. This year we paid off the house, and now we're working on boosting the kids' college fund. Things were great with Lisa and the kids too. We never fight, and I mean like never. I don't mean to brag. I don't have an explanation for it. We're not special people. We just don't fight. In fact, the first time we even got into an argument was a few weeks ago, and that was because of Frank. None of my girlfriends when I was younger ever liked my brother. Lisa is no exception. I mean, she tolerates him, but I can tell it's a chore for her, having him around. I get it. He wears too much cologne, he talks a lot about himself, and he name drops like it's going out of style. But he's my brother. He's always helped me out, and I'll always be there for him, or so I thought. After his baller era, around that time he lent us the money when he was tossing around cash. Things seemed to get pretty tough for him, and I saw him less, and he always looked stressed out. I figured his business was taking a hit, but he never complained about it or told me anything. Just a wobble. And that's how it played out. He got involved with another crowd, and things evened out for him. Maybe no more Warren Buffett dreams, but he was still living large. Then a few months ago, he started talking about his new business. For reasons of privacy, I won't say what it's called, but the upshot is that it's a business like an MLM. But instead of supplements or Mary Kay or Tupperware, the focus is renewable energy. Solar panels, heat exchanges, EVs, stuff like that. Frank is excited because he's getting one of those green energy grants from the government. Tax write-offs, incentives. He says that the earnings projections are through the roof, and that I need to get on the ground floor of this as an investor ASAP. Lisa was right there in the kitchen while he was talking, and she used to hear him yap a lot. But when he started mentioning me investing, I could tell she was oh so uncomfortable. But Frank did not press me that day, just made it seem like this was a really great opportunity that he was letting me in on, his younger half-brother. To be honest, I kind of ignored it, really, at the time. I'm used to Frank getting excited about business, putting on his salesman voice and all that stuff. It sort of fades into the background. Like I said, it used to impress me, but then I learned to care about different things, like my own work, like Lisa, the kids, our house. It didn't end there, though. The next time he was over, and he started coming over way more frequently, by the way, Frank brings it up again. This time he was more insistent. He had some brochures with him, and he got me to come look at them, and he brought a bottle of expensive scotch. Kind of a waste since I don't drink, but hey, I guess he thinks it makes him look like a serious player. So he was standing there with his tumbler of scotch and basically pitching the thing to me. He talks about how he was there for me when I needed the home loan, and that he helped me then and he's helping me now, stuff like my money will be tripled within a year. He even started saying how we could upgrade our house, move into something larger, and I tell him we like this house. We're pretty happy here. There's nothing we really want except maybe more time together. I end up asking him if we could just talk about this later. Well, it was dinner time. I was in my work clothes still, and Frank seemed put out. Like dinner and time was a letdown or something. It kind of made me mad, truth be told. I still looked at the brochures later, though, because I was starting to feel pretty bad. I haven't quite wrapped my head around the fact that it could be a grift. I was more feeling like I'd missed something that wanted to make sure I understood it. I read that stuff and did a search online. It wasn't hard to figure out that the MLM had all the trademarks of being, a Ponzi scheme. From what I could gather, they were collecting money from people who could invest in the MLM. They'd get some kind of free installation like a crappy solar panel as a reward, and more rewards if they got other people to sign up as investors. It was sketchy as hell. But the front was solid. They had a slick website. Everything looked pretty nice. My brother's picture was there, smiling, a dashing CEO, a whole bio, mission statement, the works. For the first time, I put my brother's name into Google. All the usual stuff came up, his accomplishments, pictures of him donating money, golfing, and if you put my name in Google, nothing comes up. Maybe my Facebook, I guess. Maybe a medal I won during a track meet in high school. So I put in his name, plus the key term, con man. Oh my gosh. Plenty of stuff came up. Frank X is a born grifter. I hope they send that jerk to jail soon. And don't trust this man with a penny. There were whole threads on message boards with people, and just normal folks like you and me. I guess sharing stories about getting ripped off by my brother. Obviously, I called Lisa to look at it, and she looked at me like, yeah, are you just figuring this out? I felt stupid. So the next time Frank came around, I get him alone and ask him straight up, Frank, are you a con artist, man? He gets red in the face like he's about to lose it on me. Then he gets his composure back and tells me he's never conned anybody. I told him about the stuff I saw online, and he says it's lies, all lies. You can find similar things about anybody in the world of business, and then, believe it or not, he launches back into his own sales pitch. Shares are disappearing fast, little bro. Soon I won't be able to invest you. Blah, 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 blah. I'm speechless. Like, bro, are you serious? I tell him no. No way. No way in hell. Not only am I already making good enough money, which I realize as soon as I say it's a mistake, but I don't trust his MLM. The air, well, I could smell it. It made him mad. I shoot back that it's an obvious Ponzi scheme, bro, and I tell him he needs to cut the crap out before he gets caught and sent to prison. Frank gets really quiet, and he just looks at me. After a while, I stop talking, and he comes up to me and puts his hand on my shoulder. He looks me dead in the eye and says, "Bro, you're going to invest in this company, and I'm going to make you filthy rich." What? I take his hand off my shoulder and tell him he's crazy. I'm not investing diddly squat. So that's when he drops this bomb on me about the money he lent me. Says that the cash he gave me was fraud money, and I ask him if he didn't just say he's never conned anyone, and he just looks at me. That same look. I barely recognize him as my brother. It's scary. I mean, he's a different person. So I say, "Is this for real? Are you blackmailing me?" "If you want to call it that," he says. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer the money, and I'm not going to call in an anonymous tip to the IRS. You like your house, right? You want to keep it, don't you?" At this point, I'm kind of losing my mind, like it's so surreal, and my brother's getting all gangster with me. What the hell's going on? I tell him to get the hell out of my house, and for a second he stands there and he stares at me like he's about to say something, but he doesn't. Goes to get his coat, and he looks at me and tells me again I'm going to change my mind. That I have 2 days to transfer the money, and if I don't, then he'll call the authorities and tell the house. Yeah, the house is implicated in fraud. Then he leaves. Drives off in his newly leased Lexus just as Lisa's pulling into the driveway with the kids, and of course she asks me, what was that? I can't even say a word. I can't speak, so I just start helping her unload the kids with a blank stare and get the groceries. It's about an hour and a half before I can even mutter a word. Lisa, Frank just straight up blackmailed us." "What?" I tell her what's happening, and she says that I need to go to the police, and she says, "What if he's not bluffing?" She says that I should go to the police, clear out my name, and I don't know, I'm still so freaked out. If there's any possibility of losing the house, our lives are here. We've put so much time into making it our own. And we could lose it because Frank is a piece of crap, a con artist who's been hiding it from me for years. Well, guys, that's basically where I'm at now. I'm not sure if I want advice or just a chance to vent. I'll probably do what Lisa says at the end of the day, but for now I need to sleep on it. Updates are coming. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Just so you know, this story is about to go nuclear. If you want more stories just like today, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel. And with that subscription, you're also supporting the channel, guys. Let's jump right into update number 1. Today, I went to go speak to a lawyer. I haven't told Lisa yet. She's been after me to go to the police, and I've been putting her off. It's the first time that we've really been at odds over something. It feels super strange, and it felt bad going to the lawyer without talking to her about it first, but I needed to do something, and going to the police felt drastic. Like something I could not undo, and I was worried about starting a whole chain of events that would be simply out of my control. I didn't have any lawyer connections, so I asked a guy at work if he knew anyone. He gave me a number of his brother-in-laws. He's a family lawyer, but he works at a firm that also handles criminal cases, so I got passed to a different lawyer, and we set up a meeting. I went to talk to him. $250, bada boom, bada bang. Worth it. Every cent. The practice was all the way out in the East End in Greektown. They showed me in and took my name at reception and sat me down in the waiting room. It was my first time in the lawyer's office, and after a few minutes the lawyer came out and I went inside his office, sat down, and just basically told the story that I wrote in my first post to him. He asked a few questions about the dates and whose name was on the house and how long Lisa and I have been married. When I finished, he looked a bit worried, which obviously worried me. I asked if there's a chance I would lose my house if my brother ratted on himself, and the lawyer shook his head. First of all, he said if the money did come from an illegal activity, the authorities would have to investigate its origin, and that would obviously lead them to Frank, or Frank's company at the time. I can't even remember what he says. Something to do with shipping, I think. That is, Frank would be making himself vulnerable. Second, there was no indication that I had any foreknowledge that the money came from illegal activities. Unless there was some kind of document, of course, showing that I did know that that money was dirty. The authorities would have a hard time making a case that I knew. And third, most importantly, the statute of limitation. It was already up, so even if there was a case to prosecute, they wouldn't be able to try it because it's already been 10 years. So I'm safe. I asked the lawyer, and he said that magical word, yes, from a legal standpoint and also from a human standpoint because he doubts my brother's telling the truth. It's a bluff, he said, and I'm sure of it. Why did he look so worried a moment ago then? I pondered. He said it's because he feels bad for me and my brother. I don't really feel bad for Frank, not right now, but I didn't tell the lawyer that, just thanked him and paid on the way out. I didn't even bat an eye when he said $250 an hour. If Frank comes around again anytime soon, I'll tell him exactly what that lawyer told me. Update number 2. Well, guys, something happened, and I'll get to it in a second, but first I should say that Frank did come over, like I knew he would. He was apologetic, saying that he should have never threatened me. Brothers don't do that to each other, or some crap like that. I just let him talk. If he was not going to press the blackmail thing, then I didn't see any reason to tell him about my little visit to a lawyer. Why tip my hand if I didn't have to? Frank was being all chummy, asking if I wanted to come for a beer and play some darts like we used to. I say, sure, what the hell? Now that I know he's a crook and that I'm safe, what's the harm in throwing a few darts with him? I can do a bit of recon while I'm at it. He looked surprised but recovered quickly, and I told Lisa I'm going out to have a few drinks with my brother and throw a few games of darts, before switching up to pool even. Frank did not say a thing about the MLM, not a whisper. He was on point, flirting with a server, killing me in darts, just like his old self. Anyways, that's not the thing that happened. While we were at the pub, we ran into Dale. That's Frank's old accountant and the guy we both know from high school, right? I know him better because Dale was on the track team with me. That was maybe the only point in the evening when Frank seemed stiffen a little. Dale looked kind of surprised to see Frank, but they were both friendly to each other. Then while Frank was in the bathroom, Dale came over rushing to me and asked me how I was doing. Fine, I said, and he asked about Frank, and I sort of shrugged and said, I don't know, fine, I guess. Dale asked if I had his number, and I said I did. He told me to call him when I can, and okay, dude, kinda mysterious. Then Frank came back and Dale left. The next day I called Dale, right? He asked if we could meet for coffee, and sure, I say. I went to meet him after work. We shot the breeze for a bit, caught up, and this and that, and then he asked me if Frank has been talking to me about this new MLM thing, and I said, yeah, he had. Dale asked me that I knew about it and said that I knew it was a scam. Well, I ended up telling him about Frank threatening me, and just to be sure, I asked Dale if the money Frank sent me was legit. See, Dale was still his accountant at the time, and Dale said, oh, don't worry, it's legit. Then I asked, okay, why would he stop working for my brother, and he let out the longest sigh. I guess you can figure it out. Your brother was getting into some stuff I did not want to be a part of. He said it started out small, just correcting the books here and there, but then Frank wanted him to commit full-on fraud, so he quit. When I asked why he never reported Frank, he said he wished that he had. So there's that, confirmation that Frank is a damn con artist, as if I needed more. Then there's the other thing. As we were standing up to leave, Dale asked about how work was going, and I said it's good, but that I was getting sick of working for contractors and still dreaming about starting my own business. And Dale looked surprised. He said he'd always thought I'd use the inheritance money to start the business. He thought it was weird I had not, but did not want to pry since it was my money. Hold on. What money? Wasn't there just a house? Dale's eyes widened. So it turns out that there was a pile of assets when our mother died. Bond shares, properties I've never heard of, even some valuables, art stashed away somewhere, stuff my dad had collected over the years. And because Frank's name was on the will as executor, he just hid it from me. Feels like one truth bomb after the other. Next thing you know, I'll find out Frank and I aren't even brothers. Honestly, at this point, I might not even mind it. I set up another meeting with Dale at his home office. I'll post more, guys, after I talk to him. Update number 3. I just got back from Dale's, and I'm about to tell Lisa everything that Dale told me, but she's still with the children at the neighbors, so I'll write it out here first and just wait for her. Dale said that he did some digging after our last meeting. He still had copies of the correspondence from the estate lawyers and everything to do with money and assets that he got a copy of. He showed me the documents. Letters, bank transfers, supposedly to me, but clearly not. It looked like Frank got Dale to send letters to me that were addressed to another person, maybe Frank. All told, Frank kept about $500,000. Yeah, about $500,000 in liquidated assets that were supposed to be split evenly between us. It explained why he was so flush with the cash all those years. I was floored. Dale had to get me a drink because I was going into shock. I snapped out of it and asked Dale, well, Dale, what do I do? Obviously, a lot of the money was gone. Dale said that Frank had invested some of it, and there was Frank's house plus stocks that probably had gone up over value over the years, and although Dale would have to check with Frank's broker, of course, Dale thought that Frank had kept some of the art. He'd bought that boat too, and it was in a dry dock, so some of the money was still around. I asked Dale, give me all the copies, all the documents related to the inheritance, and he gave it to me. Even apologized for his role in keeping the stuff from me and my family, and I asked his advice on what I should do. He said to get an estate lawyer to look over the documents, although he wasn't sure what the next step after that would be because, he's not a lawyer. So I left Dale with the banker's box of paperwork. Now I'm sitting here waiting for Lisa so I can tell someone, anyone in the real world, what the hell happened. I'm still in shock, I guess. It's so bizarre and hurtful to have someone you used to look up to, someone you've known all your life and who has taken care of you, treat you this way. And then to pretend that they were doing everything in your best of interest. I'm asking myself whether Frank is really a sociopath or if he's just taking a wrong turn somewhere in this life. I'm really hoping it's the latter because having a sociopath for a brother, that would be sad. As I said, our folk are gone and Lisa's parents are on their way out too, so that leaves me and her and Frank in my kids' lives. Not a big family, is it? On the other hand, I'm thinking about what I could do with $250,000. I could start my own company, hire a bunch of electricians, guys right out of college who I can teach to do it my way, the right way. They can take care of all the small jobs so I can focus on the big contracts. Spend every weekend with Lisa and the kids, vacations, maybe a cottage. What a dream. Update number 4. Well, as you guessed it, it wasn't long before Frank came over. Well, he was looking desperate. I guess he's burnt through all his other contacts and really needed the money. He brought a couple of pizzas with him. Flowers for Lisa, some books and stuff for the kids. I have to admit, even if Frank is a con man, he's always been generous. I let him do his thing. The kids were excited by the books, and Lisa pretended, at least, to like the flowers, although she rolled her eyes at me when Frank turned his back. I'd already told her about the lawyer and the inheritance stuff at that point, and when all the buttering up was out of the way, Frank asked if he could talk to me. Alone, out back, he, brought some cigars, which he wanted to smoke into a cloud with me. I turned it down, not really knowing why Frank would think that I'd start smoking with him now. He lit up and started in one more attempt to convince me to give him the money. I let him talk for a bit as he smoked that cigar. Then I took a piece of paper out of my pocket, calmly unfolded it, and handed it to Frank. It was the most damning piece of estate transactions he's kept from me. He went white, dropped his fancy cigar, and I told him, "That's not all I've got, buddy. I have papers on everything you stole, and I know you can't do or say anything, so, that would put us at risk. So here's what I propose. You dissolve that shady MLM, give everyone their money back. You give me half of the inheritance you stole, 250,000 buckaroos, sell the boat, mortgage your house, and do all these things, and maybe, just maybe, I won't go to the cops." "The cops?" Frank said, still trying to pretend that he had the upper hand, even though he was scared. Yes, the cops, the feds, IRS, whoever the hell I need to call. You committed fraud. If not against those suckers who invested with you, then for sure against me, your own flesh and blood. Frank tried to say something to excuse himself, and I stopped him. "Listen, I've said what I propose, and that's all you're going to get from me. This isn't a negotiation, Frank. You have 3 days just to get that ball rolling, and if you don't show me progress by then, well, you know what happens." "But brother, I'll be bankrupt." "So then you'll be bankrupt. What will I do for the money?" I thought for a second. It didn't seem like my problem, but I had an idea. You might have noticed that even though I think he's a piece of crap, you know what? I always had that soft spot for Frankie. You can come work for me. "What? I don't know anything about being an electrician." "It doesn't matter. I'm going to start my own contracting company with the money you stole from me, and I'll need somebody to do administration, to meet with clients, write up contracts. I figure you can do something like that, under strict supervision, of course, because at least I'll give you a decent wage." And that's when Frank stormed out. That's more than his ego could muster. I didn't know if, he'll do those things or if he'll have to go to the police. Either way, it feels dealt with to me. I was serious about the job, though. Something in me tells me he'll take it. Maybe it'll help us heal the wounds that he's created. I guess we'll see. Anyways, guys, this is my last update. Thanks for all the help. I've been monitoring this story very closely to see if we're going to get an update about Frank, if he took the job offer, and what exactly is going on in their life nowadays. But there hasn't been anything posted on the account in quite some time. I want to know what you guys thought about this story, what you would have done differently, and do you think OP is out of their mind for offering Frank a job? Let's discuss it down below in the comment section, guys. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories like this every single day. So if you guys want to be a part of these daily drama animated stories, hit the subscribe button, click that bell notification so you get enabled whenever a story pops up, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.